It's pretty amazing what an 800-year-old story can teach us about getting by in today's world. We're going to unpack a really powerful fable from the 13th century poet, Rumi. Now, on the surface, it's about a lion, a wolf, and a fox that go hunting. But let me tell you, it's actually a masterclass in human nature. At its core, this whole story boils down to one question that we all have to face at some point. What's the real cost of greed? We're going to dig into how this ancient tale shows the incredibly high price of unchecked pride and, on the flip side, the quiet power of just being humble. All right, let's jump right in and set the scene. Act 1 of our story is what we'll call the lion's royal hunt. Just picture this lush, wild mountain range, and the king of the beasts himself is leading the charge. So here are our three main players, a majestic lion, a hungry wolf, and a pretty clever fox. And right away, you can tell this is an odd crew, to say the least. You see, a lion like this, he'd normally hunt alone. He kind of saw the others as beneath him. But for some reason, on this particular day, he does something rare and invites them to join him. In this one simple gesture, it's a perfect example of something called magnanimity. In Rumi's stories, the lion usually stands for something bigger, like truth or justice. So by including the others, he's showing his noble side. And trust me, this isn't just a throwaway detail. It is a huge honor that basically sets the stage for everything that's about to happen. And their hunt? Oh, it was a massive success. As Rumi himself put it, those who follow the path of truth never come back empty-handed. They managed to take down a huge haul, a wild ox, a mountain goat, and a fat rabbit. It's this awesome moment of triumph. But, as you can probably guess, this prize is about to become the source of some major trouble. Okay, so the hunt itself, that turned out to be the easy part. Now comes the real challenge, and this is where the story gets really interesting. It's time for a little test of division. The second that hunt was over, you could just feel the air change. The story literally says that greed took root in the hearts of both the wolf and the fox. And the lion, being the symbol of truth, he senses this. He can feel their greed bubbling up, but he stays quiet. He just decides to watch and see how things play out. So what's his move? Well, he turns this simple task, dividing up the food, into this crucial test of character. He wants to see if they've got enough wisdom and fairness to overcome their own greed. This has stopped being about dinner. Now it's about revealing who they really are deep down. First up to be tested, the wolf. And this is where we get a front row seat to see what happens when greed and pride go completely off the rails. And believe me, the consequences are disastrous. So the lion asks the wolf to divide the prize, and the wolf, just puffed up with this foolish confidence, he lays out his plan. The biggest catch, the ox, goes to the lion. Okay, seems fair, right? But then he boldly claims the next biggest prize, the goat, for himself, and just tosses the tiny rabbit over to the fox. His greed completely hijacks his sense of right and wrong. The lion's reaction is swift, and it is brutal. He values justice above all else, and this selfish division just enrages him. The wolf's prideful attempt to get a bigger slice of the pie leads directly to his own end. It's a really shocking, violent moment in the fable, and it's meant to be. And this moment just slaps you in the face with the moral of the story. Rumi's own take on it is crystal clear. The wolf totally failed to appreciate the honor he was given. His pride and his greed just blinded him, and the end result was total ruin. It's a pretty stark warning against arrogance, isn't it? So the wolf has paid the ultimate price for his greed. But the test isn't over yet. Now the lion turns to our second candidate, the fox. And the fox represents a totally different way of thinking, the path of humble wisdom. And this is just a perfect side-by-side comparison of the two mindsets. On one side, you've got the wolf, driven by pure greed, which led straight to his destruction. And on the other, as we're about to see, you've got the fox, driven by humility and wisdom, which leads to a very different outcome, grace. The lion looks over at the fox and says, "All right, your turn. You divide the game." The fox, who just witnessed what happened to his buddy, is a very quick learner. With all the politeness in the world, he offers everything to the lion. The ox for breakfast, the goat for lunch, and the little rabbit for a late-night snack. He keeps absolutely nothing for himself. And this, right here, this is the mic drop moment of the entire story. The lion is seriously impressed. He asks the fox, "Wow, where did you learn to be so wise and fair?"
And the fox's reply is pure genius. From the wolf's fate. He didn't have to make the same mistake himself. He just learned by watching what happened to someone else.
So, after that whole story, what's the big takeaway? What's the lesson that Rumi wanted us to get? Let's boil it all down to its core: wisdom that has absolutely stood the test of time. According to Rumi, real wisdom isn't about being the smartest person in the room or the strongest. It's about being observant. It's about watching and learning from other people's screw-ups. It's about being humble enough to ditch your pride and brave enough to stick with what's true and fair. So let's break this down into a sort of modern-day playbook, thanks to our friend the fox. It really teaches us to watch and learn, to check our ego before it gets us into trouble, and to tackle challenges with a little humility. The key idea here is that wisdom doesn't just come from our own failures, but from learning from the world around us. That's what leads to grace. And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. When life puts you to the test, and it will, whether it's about money or power or just getting credit for something, which path are you going to choose? Are you going to be the wolf, driven by pride, or are you going to be the fox, guided by wisdom?